Dear all, this is me, Mashfik. I am one of your lab faculty for CSE 101. So in this video tutorial, we'll be discussing the conditional statement in R. So we all know that decision making is an important part of programming, and this process can be achieved very easily in R programming using the conditional if else, like else if or nested if else statements. So in this video tutorial, we'll be discussing these things. At first, we'll be discussing about this if statement. So I have written a syntax here for this if statement that we all need to follow. At first, you need to write this if keyword, and after that you need to put parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis you need to write your expression or condition that you want to check. For example, whether this number is like greater than 0 or less than 0, or it is greater than 10 or 20, something like that. The conditions that you need to write here. Okay, and after that you need to put the curly brackets, and inside these brackets you need to put your statement or code blocks that you want to execute. Okay, so we can see that I have written here this statement is will execute if the condition, like this expression, is true. So if the expression is true, the statement gets executed. On the other hand, if the expression is false, nothing happens because we don't have any other options. We have just this if statement in this if condition. Okay, so only this expression is true, only in that case this statement gets executed. After that, we can see a flowchart of if statement. At first, you need to start your code. For example, you need to assign a value to a variable. Okay, and after that you need to check the condition whether this variable is greater than or less than something, and if this condition is true, then this body or code block will be executed, and if this is false, nothing happens. So after that, the statement just after this body will be just executed, and this whole code will exit or will closed. Okay, so let's see an example of if statement in R programming. So after opening RStudio, you need to click on this plus icon and open this R script, and inside the R script we need to write all our codes and everything. Okay, so at first we need to write a code to check the if statement in R. Okay, so this is a comment, and like let's assign a value to a variable a. Okay, so what we've done here, so we have assigned a value which is 5 to a variable called a, and after that we need to check whether a is positive number or not. So this is our if condition, and write if a greater than 0 curly brackets, and inside this bracket we need to write our statement. Like for example, in this scenario, just write print positive number. So now select everything and click run. Okay, so we can see our number is positive. We also can validate this thing because 5 is greater than 0, that means our number is positive. So this is the syntax that I have followed. So at first I have written this if statement, if keyword, and after that put a parenthesis, then my conditional expression like a is greater than 0. If a is greater than 0, that means my number will be positive. Okay, and this is the statement to execute if the condition is true. As in this case, our a is greater than 0 and our statement is true, and this statement gets executed. So for example, if I change this value to like -5, okay, if I run this code again, execute this code again, we can see nothing happens, because if -5 is not greater than 0, is less than 0, that's why this thing will not be executed, and we don't have any other code blocks or any other things that will handle this scenario, so nothing happens. So in this scenario, -5 is less than 0, so it is not true, our condition is not fulfilled, so nothing happens. So these things will not be executed. Okay, so what I have written here, if our condition is false, nothing happens for this scenario. But if we have any other statement just below this code block, that part will be executed. For example, I can write here, just for example, write just print and code. Yeah, we can see this line has been executed, so we can see end code. So for example, -5, we have -5 assigned to this variable a, and these things will not be executed, this is false. After that, this line will only just executed, this print line. If I make it 5 again, if I run this code again, we can see we have printed this positive number again. After that, we have printed this end code, so these two lines has been executed. Okay, so this is our like if statement. So we can see as a number is positive and as a result the condition is true, so this statement has been printed properly. Okay, so after that, what we've got here, we have got this if else statement. So this we have already covered this if statement, now we'll be covering this if else statement. So an if statement can be followed by an else statement, which executes when the boolean expression is false. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that we can use this else statement just after the if statement if our if statement is false. Like, we can use the else statement with the if statement to execute a block of code when our condition is false. Okay, so let's see the syntax, I think then it will be clearer. So this is the syntax for if else statement. So at first you need to write your boolean expression. This is similar like if then parenthesis, write your boolean expression, and this statement will be executed if this boolean expression is true. But if the boolean expression is false, then our code will move into this part, this else part, and this statement will be executed. So I've written some lines here. So the else part is only evaluated if the text expression, like this boolean expression, is false. Okay, so this part will only be executed if our boolean expression is false. And another very important note that we need to keep in our mind, that this else statement must be in the same line as the closing braces of the if statement. So we can see after this closing bracket we need to write else statement. Okay, we need to write this else statement in the same line. So let's see an example, and before that we will see the flowchart. So this is the flowchart of if else statement. So at first, write all your codes and everything, like assign the values to a variable, something like that, and after that you need to test the expression. So you need to validate your expression. So if your expression is true, then the body inside if statement will be executed, and if your expression is false, then the body, like this statement inside your else code block, will be executed. So if your expression is true, then this statement will be executed, the first statement will be executed, and if our expression is false, then the second statement will be executed. Okay, so let's see an example. Now we will see if else statement. So I'm assigning a value. I'm assigning number -5 to a variable called num. After that, I have to check if my number is greater than 0, then I need to print non-negative number. Else, that means if this condition is false, we need to print something else, like else print a negative number. So let's execute this code block. So we can see, as we all know, that -5 is a negative number because it is less than 0. So this line has been printed like negative number. So at first we are assigning this value -5 to our variable num. Like at first -5 is set to, like, has been assigned to num. After that we need to check this condition whether our number is greater than 0 or not. So -5 is not greater than 0, that means this condition is false. So we need to move into this section because number 5 is less than 0. So this line has been skipped and our code has been moved to this section and it has been printed negative number. So number 5 is a negative number, it has been printed here. So what will happen if we put 5 here? So we can see, as 5 is greater than 0 and it is a positive number, that means non-negative number, we can see non-negative number has been printed here. So we can see our code is working properly. So let's see another example of if else if. So for example, make it as same before. I am assigning -5, just 5 to this num variable, and if my num is greater than 10, just put, okay. Just copy everything and put it here. Okay, so we can see this num variable has been set to 5. So now we are checking this condition, as 5 is not greater than 10, that means 5 is less than 10. Then we move into this section, this else statement, and we are pasting this value, that means we are merging this num, like 5, with this string, so that as a result we are getting this whole string 5 is less than 10. After that we are printing this statement, as 5 is less than 10, this block will be executed. If, like, for example, make it 15, and if I run this code again, we can see 15 is greater than 10, that means 15 has been assigned to this num variable, and as 15 is greater than 10, that means this condition is true, it is fulfilled, then these things will be executed, like print, then paste, that means 15 will be merged with this rest of the string is greater than 10 and it will be printed. So we can see uh, only one of the statements will always be printed, so whether the first one or the last one. Okay, so this is our if else statement. After that, what we've got, we have got this else if statement. Okay, so in the if else statement we can see we can only check just only one condition, but if we want to test more than one condition, what we need to do? So we need to use this else if statement. So if we want to test more than one condition, we need to use or implement this else if statement. Okay, so with else if we can add as many conditions as we want, like 5, 4, 3, like 10, 20 conditions we can implement, but only one statement will get executed like before, which is similar to if else statement. Only one statement will be executed depending upon the condition, depending on the expression or condition, just only one statement will get executed. So this is the syntax of else if statement. So we can see we have if keyword, after that parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis we have our expression 1, and if this is true then our code block 1 will be executed. Okay, let's go here. So if expression 1 is true, code block 1 will be executed like this thing. But if expression 1 is false, that means this expression is false, then our system will move into this else if part. Then expression 2 is evaluated, like these things will be evaluated, will be checked, like whether it is true or false. Now if expression 2 is true, that means it is true, then code block 2 will get executed, this thing will be executed. But if the expression is false, that means this expression is false, my code block 3, which is inside the else statement, will be executed. That's it. So at first this thing will be checked. If it is true, then it will be executed, will be printed. If it is false, then this expression 2 will be executed. Then if it is true, that means if the expression 2 is true, then code block 2 will get executed. But lastly, if it is not true, that means expression 2 is false, it will go into a default scenario, which is else. So the code block 3 will get executed. So let's see example. I think after that we will have a clear picture. So now if else if. Okay, so let's assign a value to this variable, like 0. Okay, now we need to check if our num1 is positive or negative or 0. Okay, so at first we need to write our if statement, which is like this: if parenthesis num1 is greater than 0, that means positive number. Else if our num1 like less than 0, that means it's a negative number. Negative number. else we also need to put a else just after the else. If else this is 0. So let's run this code. Okay, so we can see we are assigning 0 to this num1 variable, and at first it will check this condition, like whether num1 like 0 is greater than 0. No, it is not true, it is false. So it would it will not be executed. After that it will check this else if condition, whether this 0 is less than 0. No, it is not true, 0 is not less than 0. So this thing will also be skipped, and after that our code will move to this part, like this section, else. That means these two conditions is not fulfilled, so our number is 0. So else our number is 0. So now let's make it 6. Run this code again. Okay, so we can see 6 is also a positive number, because 6 is greater than 0, because num1 which is 6 is greater than 0. This is a positive number. This line has been executed, and after executing this line the rest of the things will be skipped. Our code will move to this last section, like print end. Okay, okay, so we can see after printing this line, this is a positive number, we are printing this in statement just here. So we are skipping these two lines, like this is 0 and this is a negative number. Similarly we can make it -6, and we can see as -6 is a negative number, that means it is less than 0. That means this line has been executed. So we can see this is a negative number, and lastly the end statement. So our code is working properly. So thank you all, that's all for now. Bye.